So after multiple attempts of trying to record this video, I kept on getting copyright struck and I kept on being blocked. So basically what I'm explaining is what I'm cooking for dinner. I'm holding a box of pasta, and what I'm going to do with it is make chicken Alfredo vegetable thing for dinner. And I'm just talking. Yeah, I was talking for a minute and I was just explaining like what I was going to put into the pot, basically. Um, so now I'm explaining that we're going to have pasta. We're going to also have a can of green beans, some sweet peas, and I was saying that I would have added corn too, but I had used them all to make elotes. I only had one jar of Alfredo sauce, even though I wanted two, but I can only find one in Walgreens. And then I bought two things of Parmesan cheese. I also mentioned that we would need milk as well. That chicken right there is something that my grandma had given us. That was like the last packaged. And for seasonings, I use salt and something called everything seasoning. And I just add them into the pot. And also, don't forget your oil. I learned from my chef cousin that oil keeps the pasta from sticking together. So I am starting to drizzle the oil into the pot. Now you add a little bit or as much as you want, but just put oil into the pot. And then I'm explaining that it's a 3-quart pot, so it's going to need like a lot of water because you want to make sure that everything gets soaked and boils through. And then I'm adding the salt, as you can see here, and then after I add the salt, I'm going to add the everything seasoning. You can cook it however you want, what you want. Just make sure to add salt for like flavor purposes, of course, and then whatever you want. And then I'm reading the box, and it's going to take 10 to 12 minutes to cook, and you have to pour it in slowly when the water's boiling. So you'll see me reading directions, and I'm making hand motions a lot because I was talking originally, but I was listening to The Weekend in the background, and that's what kept on getting me copyright claimed and blocking the whole view, which is understandable but also like so annoying because I'm just trying to show you what I'm cooking. So right here I'm pouring the water. I pour in like 2 full pitchers of the pitcher thing I'm holding. But, just enough water. And, oh, and that's a pasta spoon. Ours is a little warped, but, use a pasta spoon for pasta, obviously. But yeah, so now we're waiting for it to boil. And while we're waiting for it to boil, we're going to open up our cans. And I'm explaining here how like the plug was so annoying and stuff. So I'm going to open the can of green beans and the can of sweet peas in just a moment. And as I was saying in the video before I had to do this stupid voiceover thing, rinse your cans before you recycle them. It attracts less ants, and also, it's easier to just keep your recycling clean and it doesn't smell like rotten food. It's a huge help to yourself. I recommend it. Wash your cans before you recycle them. I'm a big recycler. Or just reuse them for art projects or whatever. It's up to you. You do whatever you want with your cans. I hope this voice recording is okay. I'm not good at voice recordings. Okay, next I'm adding the chicken. Also, I forgot to mention, I'm draining the excess water from the cans into like a drainer that I put into the sink, if you saw me do that. So that way like it's nice and like quote unquote dry. And then I add the chicken. And I'm explaining here that to put your seasoning or like whatever you're done using for sure, just put it away. Make it easier for yourself to have like a clean kitchen, and make it easier to clean afterwards after you finish cooking. Just so you know, make your life easier for yourself. If chaotic messes for you, chaotic messes for you. Not for me though. It's not for me. So I'm gonna shut up a little bit. As you can see my process, I already explained about the chicken. So right there I was explaining like check your expiration date and make sure like the chicken's always good. So we're gonna wait for our pot to boil, and here's our pot. Our pot is nice and boiling and hot. Even after you stir it, the bubbles don't go away. So in a little bit, we're gonna add our pasta. Now remember, you have to add it in slowly depending on the directions. The directions for this pasta specifically states add it in slowly and boil it for 10 to 12 minutes. I did 12 minutes personally. So here we go. We're going to add the pasta. And I called it needle. Or I pronounced noodle weird. But here we go. We're going to pour in our pasta. Do, 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 do. Just so you know, I'm doing this voiceover for like 13 minutes. This is a 13-ish minute video, so you're going to be hearing this voice a lot. What I explained better in the video. So why did I walk away? I don't know why I walked away. So, oh yeah, so I was explaining like, I don't know what fell behind me. So I was explaining the halfway mark. I'm going to add my green beans, sweet peas, and chicken and let that boil together for the remaining 6-7 minutes. So now it was the 6-7 minute mark. Check your time and pour it in slowly with the pasta. You do not want to splash yourself. It is hot water. You don't want to mess up your food. So add it in slowly. There was like a weird noise going on. So I decided to, just to like laugh at it. But stir it all together. Let it boil some more. And then we'll get right back to it in just a second. So here we are back. After your timer is done, you're going to turn off the heat, obviously. And for the fire, you can fluctuate between low and medium heat, whatever works best for your pot. I was just trying to make it go fast because I was extremely hungry. So I do not like touching hot pans and pots. I'm just a scaredy cat like that. So I went to go find like claw glove things. And one of them was in the sala. Do not ask me why it was in the sala. It was for a dumb reason. But you're going to grab your pot full of pasta and you're going to drain it over the sink. And you're going to wiggle it a little bit. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. And then you're going to tap it a few times. I just do the tapping for myself personally, just to make sure the excess water, gets taken off. And then I do another shake again. And yeah. And of course you put the pot back on the stove because you're not done cooking with it yet. So here we go. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Tap, tap. Tap. And then I don't know if I do the wiggle again. Because the recording thing is covering half my video. So yeah, you pour it back into your pot. You can have the fire back on or not. If you do have the fire back on, make sure it's on very low heat so you don't burn the pasta and all the vegetables. So, and here I'm explaining a trick that my mother had taught me to use for the Alfredo sauce. So for the Alfredo sauce, or whatever sauce you use for like pastas or whatever, depending on what kind of food you're making, you can pour some of that into the container and shake it back and forth. And as you're shaking it back and forth, it's going to absorb or at least takes a majority of the sauce with it. And when you pour it back in. As I had mentioned, I was going to add milk and Parmesan cheese as a substitute into this dish. And because I only had one jar of Alfredo, so I wanted two to make it like nice and thick and creamy. But whatever you have, you gotta work with it. So I pour some Parmesan cheese, I pour some milk, I pour a little bit extra vegetables in there. And I had dunked it onto one side, so I had at least like some not clear, but clean vegetables to work with and noodles. And then I shake that all together. And then of course I rinse out the jar because sometimes you can reuse jars for whatever. I reuse jars for painting purposes. So after that, you pour it in, and that's how you do it. I was talking a lot. I was trying to be thorough, but I'm being thorough for like recording purposes. Because I'm doing it step by step, but like I said, the copyright blocking thing really screwed me over, so you're hearing my stupid voice over my video. But hopefully you could see what I'm doing. Also, measurements for the spices and herbs, I just eyeball it. I am Mexican. I do not give a shit about measurements. No Mexicans do, unless it's like a restaurant or something professional kind of thing. But most of the time, we don't give a shit. We know how many ingredients we need, but when it comes to like measuring, we don't know. So here, also I'm kind of glad the sound kind of went away because it was like really, really squishy sounding. And I was like, should I get rid of it? So you stir it thoroughly together. I still thought it looked kind of like whitey, not like really cheesy. So I added a bit more Parmesan cheese. You do not have to do this if you have the second jar of of Alfredo. So I'm just trying to like make it not as milky for my parents. Because yeah, my parents can be picky. So here's me. I'm covering my face with my hand because I'm invisible nobody. So I'm not going to show my face anytime soon. But I'm going to try it for myself, and I'm going to see if I like it or not. Because if I didn't like it, I'm not going to give it to my parents. So I gave it like a good chew. And you know what? Like, honestly, it wasn't that bad. It was still pretty good. I just would have preferred if I had the other jar of Alfredo to make it like nice and thick and creamier. So I added more cheese to mine after this video. But you know what? It worked. It was okay. And if you guys want to try it at home, I encourage you to do it. It was a pretty good meal. It was whatever I had here at the house. I had to buy the Alfredo though, because stuff. But see ya, bye. And I hope you have a good day.